In today's class, we'll be learning about the basic tools. So, speaking of the basic tools, we have 5 different types. The move tool, rotate tool, scale tool, delete, and placement. Under move tool, we have move free, up and down, horizontal moving, and typing. Under placement, we have single placement, mass placement, cluster placement, paint placement. Let me explain everything to you in detail. First, coming to the move tool. Let's place an object in our space. Now, to use the move tool, make sure you have outdoor selected to move the bench. So, as I said before, we have move free, up and down, horizontal, and typing. Let me go to the top view first. Now, in case of move free, you'll be able to move the object freely throughout the axis. But guys, you can't move this object vertically. To lock a particular axis, let's say we have the red, blue and green axis which directs x, y and z axis. So in move free, you can move in the x and z axis. And if you want to move straightly in a particular axis, let's say the x axis, you can hold the X key in your keyboard and move only in the X axis. Same for the Z axis also. But you can't move in the Y axis in move free. Next, we have move up. With the help of this, you can move in the Y axis. Up and down. Then we have move horizontally, which again is similar to move free. You can move freely around the space and lock a particular axis, X or the Z, to move in a straight axis. Now you may wonder what is the difference between move free and move horizontal. Let me tell you. While I am moving this object freely, you can move this around the space. And if you take this object over any other plane, let's say from the ground to the bench, you can see that the tree is moved from the ground to the bench. So if you use a move tool, you can move from one plane to the other. While if you are working with horizontal tool, you can't move about from one plane to the other plane. Now coming to typing. So my trees move typing. Let me fix it as 0. Now, when I fix 0 for x, y and z axis, it is sharply placed over here. Now, you can change the tree 10 meters away in x axis by typing here. And in z axis, let me type in 10 to move it 10 meters away from the z axis. This is how you use typing. The next tool we have is rotate tool. So, with the help of rotation, you have 3 sliders over here. So, The first slider will help you to rotate the object in its own axis. The second slider help you to rotate it in the x-axis, while the third one will help you to rotate it in the z-axis. And also, if you click on this origin of the object, you may rotate by yourself. The next thing we have is scaling. You can use a slider to scale this object, or else you can even click over here to scale it up and down. Next thing is we have delete. So you already know delete. But guys, you have objects from different categories over here. You have a tree from nature category and a bench from outdoor category. So to select everything at once, you can select all categories from over here. Now, if you use the control key and create a cursor, you can delete all the objects from different categories. Now, coming to placement. Let me select a tree here. Now guys, under this, while I select tree, under placement, you see different categories. Single placement, mass placement, cluster placement, and paint placement. First, single placement. So, if you click on any space, you'll be able to place this object as a single one, here and there. But, while we work on mass placement, you'll be able to click and drag, create a rectangle where you can place these objects differently at a similar distance. Under here, you have certain sliders. The number of items. Currently, it is 5. If you increase, you can increase the number of trees in this row, or else you can even decrease it. The next one is the direction. So, if you slide the direction, you may see that the trees rotate similarly. All the trees rotate the same. But if you do randomized direction, you may see that the trees rotate differently. Next, randomized spacing along line. So this is the line we have, and they have been placed in a similar distance. So if I increase this, you may see that the placement of the object will vary. The next one we have is randomized offset from line. So this is the line and we have offsetted it from there. So if you increase it, it will spread throughout the space differently. And also guys, you can add other trees over here. Now you can increase the number of items, the spacing, offset, everything, and you can create a cluster over here. Now, the next type of placement we have. Before that, once you're done with everything, just give this tick mark. You will get back to the build mode. Now, the next type of placement we have is a cluster placement. So, I'll choose some flowers. Now, with the help of cluster placement, you can place cluster of flowers over here, but the number you can't decide that. It has a random number of clusters. Likewise, you have paint placement. Guys, if you're working with a medium configuration system, please don't use this. Okay. But if you have a good configuration, you may try it. Now, in cluster placement, you can just paint on your space to have a random cluster. Wherever you keep the cursor, the flower is painted over there. Now, just give this tick once you're done. Now, let me give you another example. Guys, here I have a building. Let's say you want to place flowers on all the border of this building. For this, you'll use a mass placement. Like this. Let me remove this from all these categories. Decrease the number of items, the direction, randomization of direction. Now you can see over here, we have created only single row. But if you want to create throughout this border of the house, you can't creating mass line again and again. For that, what you can do is click on this node, use the control key, hold the control key and stretch your mouse. Now you'll be able to see this imaginary line, right? So click, again spread it, expand the line, click. Now come to the other direction. Use the control key, click, click, click and click. Now you have created flowers on the border of the house. Likewise, let me create a separate one. In this case, if I want to make this border curve, what I can do? Click on the node and corner smoothness. If you increase the corner smoothness, the corner of this node will become smooth. This is also a way where you can use mass placement. So guys, I want you all to try create some scenes with the help of mass placement or the cluster placement. Some forest scenes and landscape scenes to practice these so that you will be able to create good exteriors and landscaping in the future.